There's much debate on where you should carry a gun on your person. Many people have suggestions on carrying it in places that are known as outside the waistband, inside the waistband, and other places. I have given much thought as to where I should carry my guns. Much of this depended on my being robbed in the past. When you're on the street, you have three potential adversaries. The first adversary is obvious to you. That is the criminal. Secondary adversaries can also be witnesses to what is happening and the police. For example, let's say I'm walking on the street and I see a thug approaching me. At some point in time, you'll have to draw your gun out. The question is, do you wait until the criminal pulls his gun out and starts shooting at you first? If you let this happen before you start shooting, you may have to take a few bullets. How about if you beat the criminal to the draw? Let's say I'm walking down the street and I see a person or persons who I believe will rob me. I pull my gun out, point it at him, and say, "Get the hell away from me." In doing this, an innocent bystander, say a little old lady, looks out her window. She sees me pulling my gun out first. This is actually a good thing because I beat the criminal to the draw and he does not kill me. However, what may this little lady do? She may very well call the police, possibly tell them this terrible man, who happens to be me, pulled a gun out on this innocent man who isn't really the thug. The police then respond to the scene. According to the eyewitness account of the lady, I pulled the gun out on the criminal. Though the police know this person is a criminal, it may appear that I was robbing him. It would not be well if they charged me with armed robbery and assault. Therefore, I have developed a technique of drawing on the criminal in such a way that only the criminal would see me draw. The only way to do this is to carry a gun in my pocket. For pocket carry, I use a Galco pocket protector or a holster from JS Holsters. From what I've read, I know a lot of people are saying, "Gee whiz, I wear super tight jeans and I can't get a very big pistol in my jeans." I have heard 1,001 reasons why you can't carry the right gun in a pocket. It depends on you having the right type of pants to carry a subcompact gun in your pants. You can carry a gun as large as a Glock 19 and still have easy, quick draws. The best pants I have found for this purpose are the EOTac Elite Tactical Pants. There are 5 stages to the draw using my method. The first stage of the draw is to grip the weapon. At the first instance of my being aware of a possible threat, I grip my gun. I do this at any time and no one is aware of what I am doing. It just looks like another guy sticking his hands in his pants pocket. How many times have you seen a man with his hands in his pants pocket? If I were using any other type of holster, it would be obvious to the bystander I had my hand on a pistol. However, this is not the case with a pocket carry. If I am concerned enough to be gripping my pistol, I am also creating distance between me and the threat. If I perceive that the threat is following me, I go to step 2 of the draw. In this step, I take my gun out of the holster. Sometimes when I'm using the Galco pocket holster, in this step I would need to press down with my thumb on the holster to release the gun from the holster. Step 3 of the draw brings the pistol up where the top of the pistol is visible at the top opening of my pants pocket. I do this in such a manner that only the criminal can see it. Bystanders, such as people in their houses, should not see anything. If they saw something in my hand, they could not identify it. This also worked very well with criminals because they know the other criminals carry weapons in their pockets. If you watch real-life police programs, you will see the policemen continually tell people to take their hands out of their pockets. Criminals are well aware that people carry guns and knives in their pockets. When they see you do this, they know what it means. Most criminals I have met did not wake up one morning and decide to get 3 slugs in their chest. If they see someone they feel is a threat, they will usually look for someone who is a lesser threat to them. If I reach step 3 in the draw, I would also be yelling at him to stay away from me. He can see I am armed. If he continues to approach, I go to step 4. Step 4 is where the gun is completely out of my pocket and pointing at the criminal. At this step, I feel the danger of attack is imminent. The final step is step 5. Step 5 is to fire the weapon at this person. How fast or slow I go through the different 5 steps of the draw depends on several factors. One factor is whether or not I see that the person has either a gun or a knife. Most of the time, you will not see any weapon visible. It may not be visible because this person is intent on attacking you with his fists. Conversely, he may have concealed a knife, such as a switchblade. I came across a lot of people in Richmond where I could not see anything until the last moment. Then they flicked a knife and it was right on me. There is a distance of threat developed by a police officer in Utah called the Tueller effect. This police officer discovered that if people are within 21 feet, they can close the distance between you and them within 1.5 seconds. Someone can easily run 21 feet in 1.5 seconds and stick a knife in you. You need to draw an invisible line between you and your attacker. The line may depend on whether you see a weapon or not. If the thug crosses that line, you have to shoot. I'm very conscious about anyone within a block of me with his hand in his pocket. I would go through steps 1 through 5 if someone from across the street walked toward me in a threatening manner. If someone pulls out a pistol, then I would go from step 1 through 5 very quickly. This may be a matter of seconds. If that same person was approaching me with a knife in his hand, I may give him a step or two, but I wouldn't fire as quickly as if I saw a gun, but I would not give him too much ground. How fast I fired would depend on how fast they were coming at me. The third option is that you may not see a visible weapon from someone. In fact, many times I had people approach me with a smile on their face. You would have thought they were my long-lost friend of mine. They may also wear something to throw you off, such as a Christian cross or a uniform of a company you recognize. On the other hand, hoodlums may try to intimidate you in any way they can. They may dress in a certain manner, such as wearing gang clothing or by the number of them. Numerous attackers present a very dangerous but not insurmountable situation for you. Now let me perform a demonstration of this drawing tactic. In this segment, I'd like to talk about how I carry a gun on the street for self-defense. And what I do is I carry my primary gun in my pocket. I could carry a gun as large as a Glock 19 in my pocket and very comfortably draw it. As long as it's about 20 ounces, it feels very comfortable having a gun that size. For this demonstration, I'm going to use a Glock 26, and I usually carry a Glock 26 in either a Galco pocket protector or a pocket holster made by JS Holsters. It's a little bit easier to get the guns out of the JS holsters, but I do carry the Glock pocket protector a lot too. And there's 5 steps to the draw from the pocket protector. And the first step would be the gun would be in my pocket, and if I see someone at whatever distance, it might be a half a block away, might be a block away, but for some reason this person makes me uncomfortable, there's a couple of things I do as soon as I see that person. And the first thing is that I stick my hand in my pocket, and this is step number 1. I get the grip on my gun, and if I feel uncomfortable enough to have the grip on my gun, I'm also trying to create distance between myself and this individual, and I'm walking away from that person. And then if for some reason I feel that person may be approaching me, then step number 2 is it's still in my pocket, it looks like I'm just standing around just like any other guy. Well, actually I'm walking away, but I have my hand in my pocket just like any other guy, but I'm actually gripping my gun at that point in time. And step number 2 is I take my thumb and make sure that my gun is out of my holster, but is still not visible. And I would not make the gun visible at step number 2 because I would feel that the person does not present a direct threat at me at that point in time. And step number 3 of the draw, though, is it's in my pocket, the thug is approaching me, and at this point in time I have been performing nonverbal street communication with people. I've never seen anybody talk about this before, but this is a language of the street. When you put your hands in your pocket like this, it's communicating, don't bother me, I may have a weapon on me. And if the person isn't approaching me, then that would do a couple of things. When I would go to step 3, which is where the gun is visible like this, but to the person approaching me, and I would also be creating witnesses at that point in time. And by creating witnesses, I want people, if there is a shooting, to positively identify me as the good guy, and I would do that by letting the thug know, I have this gun, I will use the gun, I'm not bluffing, it's up for him to see. And they're going to understand this because when you watch police videos, they're always saying, get your hands out of your pockets to people. So criminals know what I'm doing, and especially when they see I'm armed like this. And by creating the witnesses, I'm yelling to this guy very loudly, stay back, don't hurt me, please don't hurt me, like that. And so witnesses, if there is a shooting, the police come, they'll say, well, this guy right here, he was backing away from the guy, he was saying, please don't hurt me, stay away from me, things like that. And they're going to just be saying good things about me as far as a legal situation. Now, if the person continues to approach after he knows I'm armed, then I go to step 4, which is I have the gun out and ready to shoot, and then step 5 would be to actually fire. And when I'm on the street and I'm doing these things, I'm continually moving. There's no such thing as a Weaver stance, an isosceles stance. I'm not going to stand, because if that guy does have a gun, by myself moving, I'm going to make it look a lot harder for him to get a sight picture on me. And it's just going to make it more difficult on that guy, and I'm also letting witnesses know I was trying to get away from this guy, and he's continuing doing these kind of things. And so if I'm carrying something like a baby Glock here, I have 11 shots in this. I've either got my SIG or my Glock 19, and I'll have another 16 shots out. I really do doubt that. I've seen videos where guys are running around and they've got 3 or 4 magazines and they're spraying the area. Well, you got to remember, these things are going to be happening in a parking lot or a residential neighborhood where there's going to be women and children and houses and things like that. So I'm not going to be unloading unless I know I'm hitting this guy. And these will be close distances, because if a guy keeps approaching, you know, he's going to be pretty close to you. But actually, see, I'm communicating with the bad guy when he sees my gun at this position at the point in time that I'm not a guy to be taken lightly. And you can't bluff with these people, or they'll know you're bluffing. You have to communicate non-verbally that you're willing to go all the way through from step 1 through 5. And if you don't see a weapon, which will usually be the case, the guy may be getting very close to you. If he was like across the street or something and I see him pulling out a gun, then I'm just going to go immediately to step 5 very quickly. And but 95% of the time, people are going to go for an easy target, and if you follow these the things I'm doing, they're going to back off and leave you alone. And you're saying that, you know, okay, I know you're a bad guy, but don't be fucking with me, or your show's going to be over, and I'm going to be taking the wheels off your little tricycle if you keep moving on me. So I think this is the best approach. And later on in the video, I'll get into some more whys and hows and why this has to be. I feel that the best way is the pocket carry, because by this way, I am showing the guy at this point in time that I'm armed, but the people around me will not be seeing that I'm armed, as opposed to if some guy's walking up with a smile on his face and saying, hey man, how you doing, but I feel threatened by him. Well, I can't really pull my gun out and say, hey Buster, because people will be looking out of their windows and saying, oh, look at this, is the bad guy here, he yanked the gun out on the poor guy. But if I'm doing the pocket carry, I'm communicating with the bad guy, but any bystanders are not going to see what I'm doing. In the previous demonstration I was using dark clothes. I understand, and it may be difficult for you to see my actual steps of drawing the gun. And it is ideal to wear dark clothes because that I want to conceal my gun even when it's out as much as possible from bystanders from seeing it. Now the bad guy, he's going to see that I have a gun by the angle of my arm. He's focused on me, bystanders or not. He's going to see the angle of the arm, he's going to see the gun right here, and my intention at this point is that he'll see it, he'll know I'm a serious person, and he'll back off. But for this little demonstration, just so you can see all the steps very clearly, I wanted to use lighter pants with the gun. So to demonstrate this episode again, what I would do is I would be walking down the street. I would see someone that I feel somewhat disturbed about. So I would stick my hand in, I would get a grip on my gun, and at the same time I'm doing this, I want to create distance from this person that I feel uneasy about. So I'm gripping my gun and I'm walking away. Now if I felt that at a distance this person was starting to follow me or something, I would want to make sure that my gun was clear of the holster in my pocket. And so I would ease it out of the holster, and that would be considered step 2. Now if I see this person directly approaching me and I feel in my gut that he has criminal intentions against me, at this point in time, if he's still some distance away, say 40 or 50 feet away, and I don't see a weapon, then what I would do is I would go to step 3, where the gun's going to be visible to him, but in my usual dark clothing, bystanders wouldn't be paying attention to this because they're talking to their kids and or watching TV in their house or reading their newspaper or driving by in their car. But the bad guy, he's focused on me, so he's going to see the angle of my arm and the gun right here. And when I get the gun to this point in time, then I'm also saying things like, don't hurt me, back away, get out of here, you know. And I would take a few steps backward myself, because I'm creating witnesses who are going to testify, hey, this guy Gary, he was over there, he was backing away and saying don't hurt me and things like that, and this other guy was kept coming at him. And if the guy kept coming at me unarmed, or if I saw him pulling out a weapon at a distance, then I would go to step 4. And if I saw him drawing his gun, then I would go to step 5 and shoot the person. Or if he kept coming at me with a knife, I would shoot the person. Now sometimes you may have to, at step 4, where your gun is out, the person may continue to come at you, but that person may not be exhibiting any weapon. He may have hidden a knife or a gun. So at that point in time, you may have to go into a position where you're like this with your gun and you're putting your hand out to push the person off, and you may have to shoot from this position right here if he's not exhibiting a weapon at you. So I hope this helps clear up the drawing procedure a little bit more for you.